What's good YouTube? It's your boy Mythos, and I'm bringing you guys the best top 5 class setups I do believe exist right now for Black Ops 6 Season 2. This is a mix of assault rifles and SMGs. In my opinion, these are my go-to weapons if I'm going to be in a sweaty lobby. However, these are for pubs, this is not for ranked, and this is also not for Warzone. But of course, try these class setups. For the best Cypher 091 class setup, for the optic, you can use the optic of your choice. I like to use the Kepler Microflex. I also like to add on the blue dot from the Warzone. It just makes it nice and clean. For the muzzle, this gun does not have that much recoil to worry about, so I do prefer the suppressor. I would put the compensator on if you're going to be playing a lot of Warzone, Plunder, that kind of thing, where it's going to be larger maps, or if they eventually add a ground war or a fire team kind of, large map combat. But suppressor is perfect. For the barrel, you're not going to need a long barrel. As you guys can see, the damage at effective range and beyond range is 47. That's plenty for multiplayer maps, so this is not going to really make much of a difference. For the underbarrel though, I like to use a vertical foregrip. This is going to be great for the horizontal recoil control, so you're pretty much going to be beaming like in Bad Boy beaming. And for the magazine, I like to use extended mag 1 because it only affects reload quickness by 13%. However, if you go by 2, you can see there's so much more cons. It's not worth it. 25 is way too small and 20 is way too small, so 45 is just perfect. And finally, to improve the mobility, I like to use quick draw grip, which is going to improve ADSP by 32%, so you're going to be able to snap on your enemies insanely quick. If you want to unlock Dark Matter, Nebula Abyss the legit way, check out Blazing Boost and use code Mythos5, and they will have one of their pros grind out the camo for you. For the best Jackal PDW class setup, VMP Elite Blueprint is going to be elite for this, just because the iron sights are a lot better. You're going to definitely want to use a compensator. This is going to increase the recoil control by a ton more. It does not show right there. Let me see if I do this. There we go. It's going to increase by 23% of recoil gun kick and 25% for vertical recoil control. Barrel, you're not going to need one for multiplayer. For Warzone, it's different. You're going to want to use a reinforced barrel. For the underbarrel though, you can either use a vertical foregrip if you want extra help with the horizontal recoil, or the ranger foregrip if you want help, but also improve sprinting movement speed. And you guys can see here, it's glitched right now. Let me switch this guy out. It's going to increase sprinting movement speed by 6%, which is going to be huge. And then for the magazine, for multiplayer, I do recommend the 40. You could also use 50. However, you're going to be more sluggish. I don't know why it's glitching out, but you can also run 30. 30 is definitely fine as well. For the rear grip, I like to use the ergonomic grip. This is going to improve the slide to fire speed, dive to fire speed, and ADS speed. So you're just going to improve that mobility and handling. For the stock, I like to use a balanced stock. It's going to improve aim, walk, and movement speed, hip fire movement speed, and strafing movement speed. So for my last attachment here, I would prefer to just use extended mag 1 for multiplayer. Of course, I gotta put the Ames 85 here. Pretty much one of the best weapons in the game. That's why it's one of the most popular ranked weapons right now. For the optic, I like to use the Kepler Microflex, just the cleanest optic in the game. I also like to use a blue dot. For the muzzle, I like to use the suppressor. This gun pretty much already has like negative recoil, but to be to be suppressed in multiplayer is gonna be huge, so you could go on those high kill streaks and get those nuke gameplays. Now for the barrel, honestly, you don't really need a barrel for this for multiplayer. I like to go straight to the underbarrel, and I like to use a ranger foregrip to help eliminate any of that remaining horizontal recoil control, and to also improve that sprinting movement speed to help with that mobility. And then for the magazine for multiplayer, I think 45 is perfect. 30 might be too small, that's what you want to use for ranked, but for pubs, 45 is the way to go. 60s, you're going to be way too sluggish. And finally, for the stock, I like to use the balanced stock. This is going to improve it. Strafing movement speed, hip fire movement speed, and aim walking movement speed. For the best KSV class setup, for the muzzle, I like to use a compensator. This gun has a little bit of a gun kick and recoil control problems, so the compensator is going to help negate that. For the barrel, I actually like to use a long barrel or the reinforced barrel, but preferably long barrel is going to increase that damage at effective range, so you can have more range for that, so you can outgun a lot of these ARs in mid-range. For the underbarrel, vertical foregrip is a must-have. It's going to improve the horizontal recoil control by a whopping 40%, which is going to be huge. And then for the magazine, since this weapon does have a high fire rate at 800 rounds per minute, I like to use Extended Mag 1. Extended Mag 2, you're going to start to see some cons, even though you get 50, but 1 is going to be the way to go, just to snap on your enemies a lot sooner. And then for the stock, I like to use a balanced stock, which is going to help improve strafing movement speed, hipfire movement speed, and aim walk and movement speed. However, if you do not want the balanced stock, you can also go along and use the recoil springs, which is going to help that vertical recoil control and horizontal recoil control and recoil gun keep by 10% to pretty much not miss any shots. For the best PP919 class setup, muzzle suppressor for sure. This gun does not have that much horizontal recoil to worry about, so suppressor is a way to go just to go on those long streaks. For the barrel, I actually like to use a long barrel. This is going to increase it from 18.4 meters to 24.9, so it's a very noticeable, especially in mid-range where you're going to have a lot of those gunfights with AR users. Magazine, you're not going to need one because you already have a base 64 round mag. Unless you want to improve ADS speed, you can also use a 30, 40, 50, but I prefer not to use that attachment to downgrade my ammo size in my opinion. For the rear grip, I like to use the ergonomic grip just to help me with my slide to fire speed, dive to fire speed, and ADS speed. For the stock, no stock is the way to go. This is going to insanely improve your movement speed by 14% in crouch movement speed, so you're going to be able to move and groove around the map like you're oiled up like at a Diddy party. And then finally, for the laser, I like to use a Strellock laser, so it's going to give you that hip fire to ADS accuracy drastically increase, so you can snap on your enemies and make sure you land every single shot. If you guys are wondering what class setup perks selection I'm pretty much using all the time, I pretty much use Ghost all the time just to stay off the radar. I do not want to show up on scout posts, UAVs, advanced UAVs. I like to play as stealthy as possible to go on the longest streak so I can get more kills and drop a nuke. Forward intel is a must-have for me. I like to see more of the minimap, and it shows which area the enemies are facing when they show up on a UAV. If you know where they're facing, even without a UAV, because they're firing an unsuppressed weapon, you get so much information so you can flank and plan your next move. And then vigilance is a must-have if you run advanced UAV, because you're going to be immune to counter UAVs and scramblers and sleeper agents. So you call that bad boy in, they call it a CUAV, it's not even going to affect you, and then boom, you're going to get reported for hacking and get shadow banned. And then I like to use typically wildcard per greed, and I typically like to use scavenger, but you can honestly pick your poison. Sometimes I use shadow just to be undetected by enemy traps. Sometimes I use flakjack. It depends on the map I'm using. If I'm using stakeout, I typically use more enforcer perks like gun ho, dexterity, scavenger. If I'm playing, don't use bankroll on stakeout because you can't get streaks, so it makes no sense. But if I use another type of wild card, I like to use high roller. I really do like that 4th score streak, and where I would typically use a chopper gunner just to get so much damn kills. And if I'm not using that, I like to use overkill. No, not overkill. I like to use gunfighter, which increases your 3 attachments for your primary weapon, which can be very useful for weapons with high recoil like the AS Val or the PPSH. Those are great options for that. But these are typically the perks I use. If you guys want to know the secondary I pretty much always run is the Grekova. I pretty much balance between using the suppressor, long barrel, extended mag 3, and ergonomic grip. For the fire mod, sometimes I use a recoil spring, sometimes I use rapid mod. Rapid fire kills really fast in small maps, but sometimes I run out of ammo, I quickly pull it out. I might engage in a fight that's like 15 meters away or for longer, and I can still outgun them with the recoil spring.